Have you ever found yourself at a crossroads? A decision point where every option feels wrong. Not morally complicated wrong, but in your body wrong. Tight chest, a flush face, shallow breath, a little voice that says, if I choose this, I will lose something. Something big. Something that will change how I see myself. Most of us think those moments are pretty rare. They're not. It's that moment before you hit send on an email you wrote in frustration. That moment you say yes to something that scares you. Or you say nothing when you know something must be said. In America right now, my chest tightens like that a lot because the stakes feel like they're getting higher. And in these moments, you don't need live, laugh, love from a coffee mug. You need clarity about which values mean the most to you. Because life doesn't ask when you're ready. It asks which values make you, you. And when your choices match those values, you feel it. Like a steady, unmistakable spark. Now, I learned that the hard way in jail. Now, I wasn't arrested because I ended up in the wrong place. I am a human rights and sex work activist. Work I'm very proud of. And I followed my values all the way to a conclusion I honestly didn't see coming. And you don't need to support my cause or share my values in order to use what I've learned. And what I've learned the hard way has actually shaped my work ever since. Today, I'm a brand strategist and agency owner working with purpose-driven teams. I spend a lot of time thinking about values and what it means when our values are in conflict and what that cost means. So I'd like to share with you today what it means to find a path to peace when your values are questioned, threatened, or they collide. Before that pressure forces you to make a decision that betrays those values, before it threatens your spark. Now, if you've never been in jail or arrested, let me share my experience. It is sudden, it's intense, scary, in a way that your nervous system does not politely process later. Your body is processing all the things right now. The lights are too bright, everything echoes, the footsteps, the doors, the voices. My brain could hardly find a quiet corner, and my wrists were still chafed from the plastic restraints. And my solution to get back into my body starts with a simple ask. May I have a piece of paper and something to write with? And the officers gave me a scrap from a notepad and a golf pencil. A tiny little golf pencil, short, stubby, dull, barely an instrument, like I'm gonna fill out a scorecard for the worst putt-putt course on earth, But that little golf pencil, it was enough. Writing has always been how I make sense of sensory chaos. And so sitting there with my golf pencil, I do what I always do when life gets loud. I write. But I surprised myself because I didn't write down my feelings. I wrote down which values mean the most to me. I needed to see them in front of me. I needed to remind myself who I was in a space that wanted to reduce me to a number, a nuisance, a problem to a larger social order. Not in pretty words, not in platitudes, but in my words. So I wrote authenticity, bodily freedom, compassion. And I wrote them down because I could feel how easy it would be out of fear, out of discomfort, out of intimidation, to start to trade away those values for some control over my freedom or my future. To start thinking, okay, maybe I did too much. Maybe my motivations weren't sincere. That golf pencil, it helped me keep my spark. It told me which values make me, me. And this isn't just a jail cell moment. Raise your hand if you've ever kept quiet to avoid being difficult. Yeah. It's also that moment you stay in a marriage for the kids. Or that holiday party where you enable a parent's addiction because they're a happy drunk. Different stakes, same questions in the body. What do I do when my values conflict with what keep me comfortable, with what keep other people comfortable? And this is where we get stuck. We don't choose, we negotiate. And negotiation feels like a tiny release, right? You swallow the sentence, you laugh it off, you say yes when you mean no, but then your body pays for that. It's the tight jaw, it's the tense shoulders, it's your eyes wide open in the morning at 3 a.m. And the more you do it, the more you practice disappearing until one day you realize you've been helping other people disappear too. I'm not here to give you more coffee mug mantra. Live your values. Here's the problem. We all have so many values, and they're all important, right? But in trying to live all of them at the same time, at the same intensity, especially when they're in conflict with each other and with the world, it can be hard to know which comes first. And if you don't know which values come first, the moment chooses for you. Your nervous system treats that uncertainty like a threat. Fight, flight, freeze. You've felt it. And it's not just theory. Research links that regular emotional suppression to long-term health risk. You might be thinking, okay, but I'm not in jail. Exactly. Most of the time, it's not so dramatic. It's a social post, a phone call, a cocktail party. Here's what that golf pencil taught me. When your values are in conflict, your body sounds the alarm. Intentionally structuring your values fuels that spark in the face of conflict. And values clarity comes from identifying that order of priorities before the pressure hits. A values hierarchy is how you get back to choice. You choose, or you let the moment choose for you. So I'd like to share how to make that intentional. This is how I get my body out of threat and into choice. Think of each of your values at one of 3 levels. I'm going to use honesty as my example, but your values may be faith, family, generosity. And the person next to you, they may share that value, but they will hold it at a different level. Here's how you tell the difference between each level. What are you willing to lose? Wealth, comfort, reputation, in order to maintain that value. 3 levels. First, you have defining values. Defining values are your non-negotiables. You would make substantial sacrifice to maintain these. Betraying it can be felt in your body. So if honesty defines you, you don't lie to keep the peace. Second, you have guiding values. Guiding values help you live those defining values in real time. So if honesty guides you, you tell the truth, but you don't weaponize it. And finally, you have informing values. These are your preferences, right? They matter, but they're the easiest thing for you to trade away without losing a piece of yourself. So if honesty informs you, you could say it now, you could say it later, or just let it go. Defining, guiding, informing. Here's what that looks like in real time. I'm a child of Central Illinois. I get it. Midwestern nice, basically a religion. But nice is not the same thing as good. Nice avoids tension. Good can tell the truth with compassion. I was at a community event recently with some friends and talking with somebody new who, in colorful language, shared with me that queer people were not welcome here. Now, I identify as queer, so it felt intense very quickly. And I wasn't sure who around even heard that conversation. There is a cost to endure it, and there is a cost to respond. Right? And so within that experience, it was a moment where I had to make a very difficult choice because some people have the safety to respond. I know what I look like, and not everyone in every environment. And I know that when I respond, in some environments, it's less risky. But at the same time, my chest tightened, my heart hurt, the rage, the fury, the disbelief at the exchange. I didn't know if I should lash out or if I should just retreat back into the buffet tables. Either way, I would be losing my spark. I knew it needed to end without escalation or avoidance. So I said this. When you said that about queer people, it felt dehumanizing. And I just want to share what I value. And maybe you even agree. All people, even people I disagree with, deserve the right to thrive in their own bodies. And for me, that includes queer people. I didn't know how they'd respond. But they paused. And the moment itself didn't escalate. That's what it's like to live a moment defined by compassion and guided by honesty without being nice and without building a wall. What it's like to let a guiding value help you live a defining value under pressure. It was awkward. But awkwardness is a small cost to pay to not let my rage and anger compound the tension or my silence be mistaken as agreement. What's that look like for you? Here's a quick tip. You probably already know a defining value. It's one you have that you can feel, that you cannot betray without feeling it in your bones. So tonight, tomorrow, take 10 minutes. Write down 3 values that define you, 3 values you will not trade away, and then make them specific. If it's authenticity, authenticity with who? If it's belonging, belonging where? If it's freedom, freedom for who? And then ask yourself, what would it cost to live into those values right now? Because living into your values will cost you something. The pressure, the conflict, they will come. And you either pay through the discomfort of your alignment now, or later through stress, burnout, guilt that comes with avoidance or escalation. So before you hit send on that post, before you say yes to something that defies what defines you, before you stay quiet or dull your spark to spare the room, take a moment. Pick up your golf pencil. Think about the values that mean the most to you. Because when your choices show the truth of who you are and what values define you, your spark won't be something you find. It will be something you keep. Thank you.